So since someone brought it up in the comments section of last week's video, let's continue the trend of talking about teen romantic comedy drama anime that revolve around a love triangle where there is one clear best girl who must be protected at all cost. And today we are continuing this with my teen romantic comedy Snafu, one of the most popular romantic comedy anime around, and one I actually had never seen before watching it last year when its third season came out. Yeah, this is one of those shows that people had recommended to me for years, but since I'm not super into the romantic comedy anime genre, I kind of just sort of had no interest in this. But after checking it out, I think I have some very interesting things to say about this show, which is why I'm making this review, because I feel like as a adult seeing this for the first time as opposed to a teenager, which, is the actual age you're supposed to be watching this, I feel like I bring some interesting perspectives for that. So we're going to talk about each season kind of individually, because they're all very uniquely different. And we'll talk about how that can be a good thing and a bit of a bad thing at the same time. So just sit back and please don't crucify me. I swear, I like this show overall. Just bear with me for a little bit. So, let us begin with where the show begins. So this show's open up with our main character, Hachiman, sometimes called Hiki, sometimes called Hikigaya. This is one of those shows where everyone has like 5 fucking nicknames. You just kind of learn to bear with it. Anyways, so Hachiman is kind of like this negative, unhappy, sort of just loner. He was kind of like always the outcast growing up, and he's developed this very negative, cynical view on the world. He's basically one step below school shooter. But when a super fucking hot teacher, and I mean, this teacher is super fucking hot, when a hot teacher is like, hey, I don't want to be a statistic, so she decides to have Hachiman join the, what's called, like, Helpers Club. I didn't do any research before this video. We're going in blind, damn it! But yeah, so he wants him to join a club that is designed around helping people, led by another unrealistically beautiful girl, because this is one of those anime, named Yukino. And so you kind of think you know where this story is going right away. Yukino is going to be this, like, positive, optimistic, idealistic type, and she is going to get Hachiman to kind of loosen up, be a bit more positive, and want to interact with other people more. Wrong! Turns out, Yukino is like a ice-cold, egocentric, like, person who just hates everybody and is mostly just doing this because she thinks she's better than everyone and should instill her perfection on people. The dynamic of these two is actually a lot of fun because you're basically just dealing with two opposite sides of the same coin. They both clearly hate everybody, but kind of are also trying to help people for various reasons of self-indulgence. Yeah, it's one of those shows. But to round off this dynamic, we also have best girl Yuigahama. Yuigahama is this sort of like positive, happy-go-lucky, sort of like wants everyone to be friends, wants a lot of friends, but what I like about Yuigahama is that she also kind of wants to be her own person. She's kind of struggling with identity and confidence and how to really like express herself, and I feel like we don't get that a ton in anime. Most teenage girls either fall into being like Yukino, or they're just sort of the positive, preppy, like, high society girl. Very rarely do we get someone who's trying to, like, live in a middle ground and find her own unique balance and style. So I really like this character, and I really like as each season, as she kind of, like, learns more about herself and tries to figure out what kind of person she wants to be. It's very compelling, and I mean, look at her, she's cute as fuck. So yeah, the whole first season is just kind of like them getting into various situations where they're trying to help people, but with their own sort of flawed logic. And so based on the way I kind of described everything, you probably think I like season 1, right? I mean, everyone likes season 1 of this show. How could someone not like it? There's no way someone could. I didn't like this. Look, I like the ideas. I like kind of a lot of what goes into each episode, but it's mostly boring. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know people love this show to death, but I was so fucking bored watching season 1. Most of the episodes of this are, they set up at the beginning what they gotta do, and then they don't really know what to do with the rest of the episode, or even multiple episodes at some points, and so it just kind of goes, and goes, and goes, and then it ends. And some of these episodes just kind of stop. They don't even feel like they have real conclusions. Like, there's an episode where they want to help out the tennis club. And so what do? We get to sit through a really boring game of tennis. That's it. There's nothing else to it. A couple of the later arcs are interesting, but they feel kind of dragged out, and I find their solutions to the problems a little convoluted. I didn't like it at all. So when season 1 ended, I was kind of worried, because now I gotta go into season 2, and season 2 I know was not well liked by the fans of this show. So what does that mean for me? Turns out, I actually really like season 2. I like it a lot. So the first thing I should talk about is that season 2 just looks very different from season 1. This is one of the most drastic and at times almost kind of distracting art style changes I've ever seen. But you know what? I really like it. Now, don't get me wrong, I like my saturated color palettes like what we get in season 1. I'm perfectly fine with the more simplistic designs, but everything is just used so much more effectively in season 2. The backgrounds are gorgeous. The more detailed character designs feel a lot more expressive, and their body language is used a lot more, and all these kinds of things really benefit the show. But it's not just a visual change. The whole sort of nature of the show is changed based on what happens at the end of season 1. So at the end of season 1, Hachiman gets slammed against a wall for being an asshole. And it really just sets the pace for all of season 2. Because now everyone is kind of starting to realize that his kind of dickish attitude isn't noble. It isn't like heroic. He's just kind of self-destructive, and it's gonna lead to problems. And season 2 has this really interesting feeling of, because everyone is realizing this, there's a lot more sense of self-reflection and thinking about your own lives and how you deal with people and how you grow and change. And I feel like season 2 feels more focused and actually is about something. I really like watching each character kind of change and develop. I like the fact that their body language plays such a huge role in how they kind of act and respond to things. These were not things present in season 1, and these are the little details that make characters feel more like people to me. But season 2 didn't really get a positive reception, and the question I'm kind of left asking myself is, why? So, I want to just take a minute to theory craft. And my theory is actually that a lot of people, when season 1 came out in 2013, were discovering seasonal anime for the first time. This is really when the idea of it was really starting to, I think, take off and hit the mainstream anime community. So this was a lot of people's first exposure to seasonal anime and seeking a show out and finding something that was a little unique and different from what we get here in the West to that level. So I feel like a lot of people just had a very special attachment to this show, and a lot of those people were around Hachiman and Yukino's age. So I feel like they maybe kind of saw something in these characters and maybe found them a bit more relatable than what they were used to. So when season 2 comes out and kind of flips it on its head, and I felt like took things from a bit more of a mature kind of angle, I feel like that was maybe a little off-putting to people and a little off-settling. But to all those of you watching this ready to put in your hate comments, I ask you, please kind of like maybe rewatch the show, kind of look back on it as an adult and having gone through your own kind of like arcs in life where you had to learn to be more accepting and maybe not always stand on a high horse and think of your more negative emotions as something noble. That's all I ask. As for season 3 though, I don't really know how people reacted to this, but I love season 3. I love the way everything is handled in it, from Hachiman really like taking everything he's learned and gone through in the first 2 seasons to heart and really trying to reevaluate himself and learn to be a better person, to everything with Yukino's family, how you never really know what's going on, but you just feel so uncomfortably intimately close to the whole situation that you kind of just can't help but wonder what's going on. I love the way Yuigahama has to deal with her own feelings regarding Hachiman and Yukino and just everything else. It's a really just beautiful story of people who have these kind of like problems in life, but they want to actually work through it. And also that final like scene of just the three of them at the end of season 3, I loved it so much. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Snafu. It is not what most people think. Or maybe it is. I don't know. But all in all, this is actually a great anime. I didn't believe it at first. Took a little bit. But by the end of it, I really did love it. I really wound up loving the characters. Once we had the full picture of their story arcs, I really enjoyed a lot of the comedy. I think that this show isn't as funny as people think it is, but I think it works well enough. I mean, I put it on my top 10 list last year, so obviously it worked out very well. But what did you think? In the comments section below, give me your thoughts on Snafu, if you think Yuigahama is best girl, and if you don't, explain to me why you know you're wrong. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me for who knows whatever anime comes next.